Hi guys, today's video is going to be very chill. We are just going to be doing some looks with the Killer Purr palette by Menagerie. If you haven't seen my first impression video on this, I will have that linked up in the corner, but I will show you the palette again if you have not already seen this. But this is kind of like a neutral with a pop. This is something that I can get behind as a color lover because the neutrals in this palette aren't really like neutral. I wonder who is texting me right now. But they're not like so neutral that the undertones of the shadows are boring. So I'm actually really excited to do some more looks with this. So we're just gonna jump straight into this because I want to play with this. So I'm just going to prime with my Natasha Denona eyeshadow base as always. This is like the shortest intro I think I've ever done, but I'm here for it because I don't really like when people have super long intros, but sometimes I find myself rambling more than I would like to in my intros, and it's nice to just kind of, you know, get into the content right away. And I do think that I'm going to do two looks back to back right now, so I think I'm going to start off with like an easier look because that's going to be easier to remove than having to do a complicated look and then taking that off, because that's also going to take more time. Like, I am going to wear a look, so I'm probably going to start off with a simple look and then we're going to do something maybe like a half cut crease or something after, or I don't really know. I really don't know. All I know is I want my second look to sort of match my outfit and stuff, which shouldn't be that hard because I feel like brown and black kind of goes with whatever is in this palette anyway, but like knowing myself, I can easily do something that's not going to match because I always end up with like the weirdest looks. So I think I actually want to try to do like an all matte eye look today, and I'm going to first start off by taking Mighty Roar, which is the darkest shade in this palette, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and pack this all over my lid, and then I'm going to take Chase to blend this out with. And I don't know what I'm going to do in my inner corner or my lower lash line, but I just want to see if I can get this to be like super nice and intense here and have this be kind of like a smoky eye. And that is just packing on so nicely. Sometimes I struggle a little bit with doing like all matte smoky eyes because I find it to be a little bit hard to just, I don't know, just get the blends to look nice and then have the lid shade not end up looking patchy in the end, because sometimes when I go in and I blend a lot, I feel like I just blend away like whatever I put down, and that has nothing to do with like formulas and stuff, just like in general I struggle to do like all matte eye looks, and I don't know if it's because my eyes just don't hold on to color on my lid as well as in my crease, but I don't know. But we're gonna go ahead and try this because there are so many beautiful shadows in here that I feel like could be like a standalone color, you know, that you wouldn't have to use a lot of shadows to get like a really nice impactful eye look. So I'm basically just packing this all over like my mobile lid. I'm kind of leaving my crease alone, even though I'm tapping it into my crease just a little bit here just to sort of blend it out, to make it a little bit easier to blend it out with the next shadow that I'm putting on. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and use an orange. Haven't really decided yet what shadow I'm going to use, but I think this is going to be like a pretty simple look, hopefully, if everything goes to plan here. Did I just say I was going to use the orange? I lied. I even said that earlier in the video. I was going to use Chase. I'm going to take this shadow right here, and I'm going to go ahead and just start running this through my crease. I do have a little bit of fallout on my cheek from that dark kind of purpley shade, but it should be fine. I should be able to remove that. I think it looks like it's just laying on top of my skin, so I'm just going to leave it alone for now, and then if I get any more, I will just go ahead and wipe it off here. So I'm just going to go ahead and work on blending these two colors together here as much as I am able to, and then I'll probably go back in with that first shade and just pack more of that on my lid again. And this shadow is actually showing up on my eyes so much more than I thought it would, because in the pan it looks kind of light, but it's got a lot of pigment to it, and I really like that. I can see this being like the perfect transition shade for people who really like to have a transition shade. Personally, I don't always use that, and I don't have a problem just blending out like the darkest shade on its own, but this shadow is actually so nice on my skin tone. So I'm next going to go back into Mighty Roar, and I'm just going to work on really building up my crease here and making sure that these two colors are looking nice and blended together. And I also want to make sure that the darkest shade that I'm using right now is going to be blended out above the hood of my eye when I'm looking straight ahead, because it's just going to help my eyes look like they're less hooded than they are. And these are blending in together very nicely here. So I think I'm happy with how this is looking. I think for underneath my eye, I'm tempted to go in with Baobab. Is that how you say that? This green one right here. I think I'm going to use that because I just really want to use that shade. And I'm just going to go ahead and really smudge this underneath my eye. Oh, I love the tone of that. That is such like a grungy green. I love that. if any of you guys are my YouTube friends, how are you supposed to put on eyeshadow on your lower lash line and like show the camera? I still have yet to figure that out. I feel like every time I'm just like looking down in my mirror and the angle is just so off. Like, I'm sorry if you can never see what I'm doing on my lower lash line. It's just so weird to like find a good angle to do so. And then just to blend this out a little bit more, I'm going to go into Cup, which is this sort of mustardy yellow. And I'm just going to go ahead and run that right underneath that green just to bring in a little bit of yellow here. And then for the inner corner, I think you guessed it, I'm going to use this yellow shade called Draught. And I'm going to do what I did last time. I'm going to take a little bit of my P. Louise base and just pop a little bit of that into my inner corner. Actually, I'm just going to use my eyeshadow primer by Natasha Denona because it was right in front of me too. And I just like that there is a doe foot on this and I don't have to like squeeze it out of a tube. I find that to be kind of annoying. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of that right in my inner corner, blend that out, and then just put that yellow shade on top. This is just going to help it like really pop more. Like, I really wasn't sure if I was going to like this shadow at first. Even in my first impression video, I was like, I don't know about this. But the more I kept packing it on, the more I love this shadow. And like, I'm honestly kind of obsessed with this shadow because I don't have a shadow like this in my collection. And there's not a lot of colors now that I can say are unique to my collection because I feel like every color has been done in like every formula, you know? Because I have so many eyeshadow palettes and just so many eyeshadows in general. But this one truly is like unique to my collection and I feel like that is so beautiful. Just gonna go in with Mighty Roar just one last time because I want to blend this a little bit further up. I feel like it's just like not high enough up for me to really get the intensity that I want in my eye look. So I'm just gonna go in with a little bit more here and just work on blending this upwards a bit more. Because I just like having the darkest shade in my eye look to be like, you know, like I said earlier, just high enough up above my crease that I can really see it when my eyes are open. I feel like you can tell a pretty big difference like between this eye and this eye, just like on how it looks when I'm looking straight ahead. At least I think so. I mean, it's hard for me to say when I'm like not looking in the mirror at all, but I feel like you can tell a big difference. So I think this is all I want to do for the shadows. I do want to do something a little fun in my waterline because, I mean, it's me we're talking about. So I'm going to take Cross by Colourpop. This is basically like a pastel yellow. It's really not a neon yellow and I think it's going to match my inner corner perfectly. So I'm going to pop on a little bit of this. I'm going to do some liner and mascara and some lipstick and then I will be right back and show you the look. So here is the first look all done and I just cannot get over how popping that eyeliner in my waterline is. I mean, my waterline is like boop. But I love it. For lips, I used one of these Focalure, what were these called? Like the capsule lipsticks or something? These are just like mini bullet lipsticks. I freaking love these. I think they are so cute and they're great. I did get these in PR and I love them. That's gonna basically be it for look number one. I mean, I feel like this was very, very simple. Didn't take very long to do at all. I mean, there was a little bit of blending involved, but there's always going to be blending involved in doing a smoky eye. So I'm really happy with how this turned out, even though it's obviously on the neutral side, but like this whole palette is kind of on the neutral side. So it's just going to end up being some neutrally looks. But I think for the next one, I definitely want to use one or two of the shimmers again, even though, like I've said in the past, bronzes aren't my favorite, but I want to try to figure out a better way to work with some of these. I want to try to use one of them with like a glitter glue or something and see if maybe that helps with like the crumbliness of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off this look and then I will be right back and we can do another one. So let's go again. I kind of have a plan with this look, I think, like sort of maybe. I'm gonna first start off by taking Watering Hole and I'm going to put that in the first half of my crease. I'm going to make this into like a two-tone crease and then I think on the outer part I'm gonna use Pride. I feel like those two colors are just going to look really nice together. I could also probably use Antelope. Maybe I'll use these two. No, I think I'm gonna go with this one because this is more of a warm tone blue. So I'm gonna first start with Watering Hole here. And I'm just going to start by tapping on my eyeshadow primer, which I sometimes forget to do. And I'm gonna go ahead and pack that in the first half or so of my crease. Really gonna get in there and get a lot of pigment down. That is absolutely beautiful. Oh my goodness. Oh, I just love Menagerie's mattes. They're just my favorite. Like there are very few brands that I can just like barely touch my brush to my eye and get this kind of color payoff straight off the bat. I can't get enough. Like I know some people don't love that, but personally, give me all the pigment. I'm actually gonna take this a little bit further than halfway because I can definitely mix this into the other color that I'm gonna put down. So just wanna make sure that these two are a little bit easier to blend and just kind of fade this out. And since I'm already using this shade and I know that I want my lower lash line to be like kind of the same thing, I'm just gonna go ahead and do the same on the inner portion of my lower lash line here. I'm gonna leave a little bit of room just in my inner corner. I haven't really decided where I'm going with that so far, but I might pull in something else to put on my inner corner. I haven't quite decided because I don't feel like really any of the colors in this palette are light enough for me to be an inner corner shade. And then I'm just going to go back in with that fluffy brush that I first used, and I'm just going to use that to really blend out the edges here. And I did wipe this brush off on my towel, so I don't have a lot of pigment left on this brush. Just going to try to get this as blended as I am able to. Alright, so let's next go into Pride here. I don't think I've used this shadow yet. I feel like there's a lot of shadows that I haven't used yet in this palette. And I'm going to go ahead and place that on the outer portion of my crease here. Just made it up with that teal shade. And I'm basically just going to put this down in the outer like triangle of my eye. Just like meeting it up with the shadow that I have on my lower lash line as well here. So I think I really like where this is going. Wow, grammar is tough sometimes. I think the shadow that I want to use on my lid is going to be the shadow right here. This one is kind of crumbly, so I don't know how this is going to go, but what I want to do is I want to take a little bit of my Too Faced glitter glue and just pack that basically all over my lid out to where that brown begins, and then I'm going to use the same brush that I used for the glitter glue to dip into the shadow. Hopefully that will help me kind of pick up the shadow a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and try that. I'm going to kind of do like a bit of a fake cut crease here. I'm just going to take the same brush straight into Prowl, and that picked up the shadow so much easier. So like maybe that is the trick to using these shadows, is that you just need to make sure that you have glitter glue on your brush in order to pick it up, because that is absolutely stunning. I can see why Betty Jean always uses like a glitter primer now, because this works so much better. Oh my god. And if you guys for some reason are new to my channel and you don't know who Betty Jean is, I will have her channel linked down below. She is one of my best friends on YouTube. I absolutely love her, and she loves Menagerie just as much as I do, and I think that you guys would really like her channel if you are not already following her, which I don't know why I assume that people just like follow everybody that I follow, because I know that's not the case, but please go check her out because she is awesome and she does amazing looks. And I'm sure that she's going to have a 3 looks up with this palette probably before this one gets posted. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And I'm gonna go ahead and take a little bit more of Pride here, which was the color that I used in my outer corner. And I just want to make sure that the blend between the shimmer and the matte here is looking okay. So I'm just going to take a little bit more of that and just kind of mix these two colors together here. And then for my inner corner, I'm going to take my Kaleidos highlighter. This is like a white-yellow duochrome. It's so pretty. I don't think I've used this on my eyes yet, but I'm going to give that a spritz of some Fix Plus and just like plop that into my inner corner just for like a little bit of an extra. Oh, that's so pretty. Oh my god, I love that. Okay, this is actually so cute. Like, I'm not even hating on this kind of bronzy gold shade. I think that actually works really well with these colors. Gonna go ahead and finish off my eyes. I don't know what I'm gonna do as usual. Pop something in my waterline, put on a lipstick, all that jazz, and I'll be right back and show you the look. So here is the second look done, and I really like how this turned out. Despite all of these looks having like neutral shades in them, I really like how colors can play together with neutrals and still make it like a fun look. So for my waterline, in this look I used Electric Daisy by Colourpop as well. This is another one of their neon liners that is really more like a pastel green. I guess this is more neon than the yellow one is, but I feel like these liners are just like meant to be with this palette. I don't know, that could just be me, but I really like how this turned out. And then for my lips, I used Bikini Bottom by Colourpop. This is one of the lipsticks that Sophia Nygaard did in collab with Colourpop. I love this. I've been using this so much lately, and I think it's like such a great nude. It's a great formula. It's easy to apply. It's just like no fuss. I love it. So that's gonna be look number 2. I don't know what I want to do for look number 3, but I'll probably film that tomorrow. So I'm gonna think about that for a bit, and for you guys it's gonna be like 2 seconds, but for me it's gonna be a day. So for me, I will see you tomorrow, and then for you, I will see you in less than a second. Okay, so it's time for look number 3, and I did want to, just before I prime my eyes, show you just how much that blue stain. I mean, it's the day after now. I took my makeup off like 14 hours ago or so, 16 maybe, and like it's still very, very blue, both in the inner parts here and as well on my lower lash line. But I mean, I know that because all of Menagerie's blues really do stain my eyes, but I just wanted to show you in case staining is a problem for you. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cover all of this up with my eyeshadow primer. So for today's look, I think I want to mainly focus on the green. I don't know if I said that in yesterday's look, but maybe I did. Anyway, I'm gonna go into Bob. I think I realized that's how you pronounce it. I could be completely wrong, but I'm gonna go ahead and take that on my Sigma E42 brush. And I think my plan is going to be to do kind of like another smoky eye. I'm going to basically put this into my crease and blend it out, and then I'm gonna probably go ahead and do the bronze shade on my lid, but I want to spice this look up even more, so I think I'm gonna go in with some kind of like a fun purple eyeliner or something like that to just kind of do something a little bit different. Like, I know there's probably a couple of shades in this palette that I'm going to end up not having used by the end of this, but I just don't really feel like they've gone with the looks that I've wanted to do, and I didn't want to just do a look because I wanted to use the color, you know? So I'm just gonna go ahead and use the shadows that are really appealing to me in the palette. And honestly, the shadows that I haven't touched yet are really just like the very light ones. And you guys know I don't really use a lot of transition shades, so I feel like if you are the kind who do use transition shades a lot, you would probably just, you know, add those into your looks. And the shadow is so creamy and pigmented, and it's blending out and laying down absolutely beautifully. And notice how I'm really like pressing the shadow onto my eyelid before I go in and start blending. Like, that's how I feel like you get maximum pigmentation out of your shadows, instead of going in and just like straight away doing circular motions. If you really go in and pack on the color first, you're going to get the most color payoff. And of course, if you want to do the opposite and you want a bit of a softer look, you can go ahead and set your eyeshadow primer before you go in with the shadows, and then just go in with, you know, a little bit at a time. That's going to make it a little bit easier to, you know, tone down the looks if you don't want something that's as in your face as what I usually do. But you could still use the same color and like do the same look as me. It just won't be as bright if you wanted something maybe a little bit more, I don't want to say work appropriate, because I don't really feel like my works are ever work appropriate, because I don't really know what that means. And I think for my lower lash line, I'm gonna go in with a bit of Mighty Roar. Not a bit, I'm gonna go in with a lot of the shade, because I really do want this to be like a smoked out look. And I'm just gonna go ahead and pack on a lot of this color, basically all the way across my lower lash line here. And I really, really love just how deep this shadow is. Like, this is one of my favorite shades in this palette. And I know that sounds kind of crazy because it's like more of a neutral shade, but I just love very, very dark eyeshadows. Like, even like very dark browns, I can totally get behind that, because anything that I can get to add a lot of depth to my looks, I absolutely love it, because it just makes the look so much more dramatic. So I'm just gonna go back into that first brush that I used, and I think I want to use something to blend this out just a little bit here. Do I have anything I can use to blend this out with? Maybe I'll take a little bit of Maine here, just because I don't think I've used a shade yet, because it doesn't look like I have any kick up in the pan. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just run that underneath that shadow just a little bit here, just to bring in a little bit extra color. And then for the rest of my lid, I'm just going to use Lioness, and I'm going to put that basically all over my lid. I am going to use some of my glitter glue though, like I did in the second look, because I just found that it was a lot easier to pick up the shadow when I had a little bit of like glue on my brush. So I'm just going to take some glue, put that on my lid, and then use the same brush to apply the glitter with, or the shimmer I should say, not the glitter. So I'm just putting a lot of this glue onto my eyeball. And then I'm just picking up the shadow with the same brush here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and pack this all over my lid here. And I am gonna take the shadow and gently blend it into my crease as well, but I don't think I'm going to use this brush to do this with. I'm just going to pack it on. Just going back to my Morphe E36 brush, which was the very, very small fluffy brush, I'm picking up a little bit of the shadow. And I'm just going to try to blend this into my crease just to make sure I'm getting like a bit of a transition here. And I'm using quite a lot of pressure when I'm pressing this into my crease, just to make sure that I'm distributing the shadow in the way that is going to make it look nice and blended. I'm going to go in with just a little bit more of the green shadow that I used in my crease as well here. And I'm just going to make sure that my crease is the way that I want it to be. And this is also going to help blend in that matte to the shimmer shade. And I'm also just connecting like the two colors in the outer corner here so that they are looking blended. So I think I'm again going to take a bit of one of my Kaleidos highlighters. I'm going to use the green one, and I'm gonna pop a little bit of that in my inner corner because I don't feel like there's an inner corner highlight in this palette because it's just, nothing's really light enough for me to want to use my inner corner except for the very light matte yellow, and I don't want to use that every time. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of this. Obviously you don't have to do this if you want to recreate something similar. You could just use like a gold highlighter or something like that, or like another eyeshadow from another eyeshadow palette. I'm gonna take this and I'm going to give this a big spritz here because I do want this to be nice and intense. And this is kind of like a sheer formula, so I'm not expecting this to, you know, be like super opaque, but it's just going to add a lot more interest here. And I mean, just look at that, like that's so beautiful. Oh, I just love it. Oh my goodness, that's so pretty. And then to finish off the look, I'm going to take a bit of my Jeffree Star liquid lipstick. This is in the shade You Better Work, and I'm going to use that to do a bit of a thick liner with here. I'm not going to do this as a wing. I'm kind of going to do like a bit of a double liner like I did in my Jeffree Star video, where I just do a very thick line with this, and then I go in with a little bit of the black and use that for the wing after. Because obviously when I do have hooded eyes, I just can't do like very big wings, but I still want this to be nice and thick, and it's just going to kind of work out well that way, I find. And if you are going to use a liquid lipstick on your eyes, just make sure that it is an eye-safe formula. Jeffree Star's liquid lipsticks are the only ones that I know that have been said and proven to be eye-safe, because no other brands really like say that about their lipsticks, even though, shit, I just blinked and now I transferred into my crease. That's just great. And that is why I should not be talking or look at you guys while I do my eyeliner, because I need to keep my eye very still. So I'm going to wait for this to dry. I'm going to put on some liquid liner and some mascara and something in my waterline, something on my lips. Probably going to use this if I'm being honest, and then I'll come back and I will show you the final look. So this is the look all done, and I think this is my favorite look out of the three. I feel like they went really well with like my whole thing going on. I feel like I'm matching today for once in my life, which is kind of nice. In my waterline, I used Punch by ColourPop because I just wanted some yellow to kind of tie in with this. And yeah, that's going to be it for this look. I really like this look. I think this turned out really fun. As for my thoughts on this palette, I really like the mattes in this. I think the mattes perform absolutely beautifully, and just the way I expect Menagerie mattes to perform, I really like them. I don't really personally feel like there is a difference in formula like I know some other people have said. I do agree that they swatch a little bit differently, and I did talk to the owner and she said that it's really just a matter of like the pigments and stuff that is used in the shadows. I will put a screenshot of her message up on the screen so you can read it if you want to. Basically, at the end of the day, making eyeshadows is complicated and it's not going to be the same every time. So, I mean, I do feel like all of these performed really well, and I feel like the reason why they're maybe a little bit different and they seem not as pigmented and a little bit more sheer is just because they are neutral shadows, and neutral shadows just won't show up on your skin tone the way that a blue does. And I feel like this blue down here is like the same formula that I expect from Menagerie. So even though the swatches are a little bit different than from the Whale Song palette, which I feel like is definitely like her most pigmented palette, I still feel like all of these shadows are really nice and pigmented and easy to work with. So I don't really have any issues with any of these, except for the shimmers. The shimmers, I just don't really like the shimmers. They are just too chunky and flaky for me. And a little birdie told me that these shimmers, or this current shimmer formula, is going to change in the future, so that's something to keep an eye on. I'm really excited for that because these are not my favorites, but overall, really like this palette. I mean, you guys know how much I love Menagerie, especially the mattes. Just like, oh, they're just everything. Like every time I try a matte from Menagerie, I just like fall in love over and over again, and I just think that they are so good. So that's gonna be it for the 3 looks. Let me know which one was your favorite. If you want to see some other 3 look videos that I've done, I will pop a few up on the screen so you can go check those out. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.